Listening to the Outdoor Drive Podcast. Welcome back to this week's episode of 179 with the Jared Burke Foundation. This is your boy East Coast Trev, and I am joined in Mr. Madman Marduk's studio with the man himself.
The Madman Marduk Man Cave.
The Madman Marduk Man Cave.
What's up?
What up, buddy? I'm just glad to be podcasting again, dude. I love podcasting.
I know. I look forward to it every week.
Another week of amazingness.
You got it.
It's been a pretty hectic week, dude. We've killed some stuff and we found some antlers, and the boys have started to find some antlers. Seth has been hunting. Lou's been working on everything. I mean, dude, things are good. Things are really good.
There's no downtime, I'm starting to realize.
No.
There's just always something going on.
Always. And then we're going to fix ourselves into the Harrisburg show next week, and there's just a lot of things going on. We're making new banners for our booths for the end of February at the Springfield show and the Mohegan show at the end of March. Like, things are really starting to turn up, dude. Yep. We got soon to come onto the website. I just designed a bunch of t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and all that good stuff that is now on its way over onto the website. Not up yet, but are coming very soon. So there's a lot of really good things, man. We are moving forward in this thing we call life.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah, man. So you scooped up a bunch of sheds lately this week, huh?
Yeah. Yep. Put on some miles. It's just so good to get out there, man. And I've been watching a lot of deer on my trail cameras and stuff because, it happens every year. You start, especially on your local Facebook pages. They're dropping early, boys. They're dropping early. And it's like, yeah, you always get a picture of a deer that drops early. Like I had one or two bucks that were already dropped in December, but watching the rest of the boys, I knew that, most had not dropped. So I was just kind of patiently waiting for most of them to drop before I even bothered to go look. So I had a good window this weekend and took a little walk with Rip, and we ended up scooping 3. I wish I found more, but, you just got to keep – it ain't easy. You just got to put those miles on and keep looking. No,
it's crazy. And like you had said, man, like the guys are posting up on the page, oh, I found this shed, I found that shed, man. Literally, dude, my cutoff or my start is like the second week in February. Like Valentine's Day is my start where like I go hardcore. Yeah, I've been out 1 or 2 times and I start to search the fields and see if they're there, and then you start to work your way in, and then you work your way in and work your way in. Like, because if you go full-fledged, man, that target buck that you're after, you might spook him down the corridor.
Yeah, and then he ends up dropping on the neighbors or,
And that's in the – so – February 15th or 14th, because that's Valentine's Day, is my go-to starting day, where like I know I can go into any property and it's probably 85% positive that antler is on the ground. Like I don't want to go in and bust up things. You know what I'm saying? And that's when you start to really do your scouting. And I mean, it's kind of good because it's kept me occupied, because we're trapping right now, and that's kept me occupied, because if not, I probably would be stirring up the ground. And I know Ruby's just chomping at the bit to be finding antlers, because she jumped on the couch with me this morning, dude, with an antler in my face, and I'm like, dude, you're going to kill me. Like, stop.
Right.
You can't be doing this.
What I like to do is, the early, most of January, I would say, because we're in the end of January now. Those first couple weeks of January, I'm chomping at the bit to go do something, so I take that opportunity to just go walk a new piece of public. You might find a shed, but I don't really call it shed hunting. I'm more postseason scouting. Loss. Walk the property, get familiar with it, look for sign. Maybe I'll walk it and not see anything that I like, and I'm never going back there again. Or I found one particular spot 2 weeks ago. Really like the terrain, really like the vegetation, really like the buck sign in there. I will definitely be revisiting that spot. But basically just burning up weekends until, like you said, you get into the mid-February, when most of the bucks have dropped, and that's when you're really focusing on just looking for bone.
Yep.
So like, but even here, like still, I'm still at like, I'm about 80% drop.
Yeah.
80, 90%. I have $5 that I know have dropped, but I still have two that are definitely still holding.
Yeah, and it's just it is what it is, man. You just gotta, just wait and hopefully grind. But at least you've been out there and putting on the miles, and them deer are still showing up with their antlers on, so you didn't push them off property.
Right.
So that's a good thing. But you never know if you do, and it's always in the back of your mind, like, did I screw up? Did I do that? But it is what it is, man. So I'm glad that I've had my chance of occupying my time and doing something else. I mean, dude, beaver trapping has been phenomenal.
Yeah, you guys crushed it this week. Just
Dude.
the last few days.
Well, I hadn't trapped. So the beginning of the season, December, we trapped pretty hard. I got, me and Tom had done some nuisance work for a bit, and then I kind of broke off from him and went and kind of did my own thing. I think in my freezer right now, I think there's 11. I think there's 11 in my freezer from preseason, and then my good buddy, Mr. Chris Brockett, my taxidermist and very good buddy, he was running some traps with me because I was trapping a nuisance job out by his place, and he was just like really interested, and he got his trapping license. Actually, funny, before I actually knew him, we took the trapping class together, and so he would, I'd pick him up in the morning. We'd go get a Red Bull and some Reese's, and then we would go to the property and we would check for beavers in the trap. Well, then I started, I got a state land bid, and I was trapping there. So he went with me, and he's like, dude, this is so cool, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, he's getting some properties from the town, and he's like, dude, will you trap with me? And so I'm like, yeah, man, I'll trap with you. Dude, we have absolutely crushed it. This week was insane. The first pull the day before we had put out 2 traps, he had actually caught his first beaver. It was like 47 pounds. And then we waited 2 days, and then I set with him. We got 5 beavers for 234 pounds. Our biggest one was 51 pounds. Chris caught it in one of his traps. Well, then the next day, we went back out and checked. We ended up getting 3 beavers for 153 pounds. Okay. My biggest beaver I caught this week was 53 pounds. Which, dude, is a smasher. Like, I want a 60 bad, but 53, dude, was freaking awesome. And then I couldn't check traps this morning, and Chris got 2 this morning. So, like, dude, absolutely crushing it. So you figure that's 5, that's 9, 12. So we got 12 beavers.
The cool thing, too,
actually
is
13 beavers.
Chris is running those reveals on the trap line.
Dude, that is probably one of the coolest things
Pretty certain he caught 1 or 2 tonight, judging by the trail cam footage.
Did he post up again?
I think so, yeah.
So, and there's a big one in there right now, but that's pretty cool. And that's what's been bothering him, right? As you guys that are trappers that listen to this, like, he watches the beavers come up, and then the beavers go back down or whatever, and then you look, and then the trap is gone. Oh yeah, he went back. So we're watching the video, and that beaver went back down. He didn't get caught yet. But there's other traps all around there. But it's just cool. We watch the beavers come up. I'll post up some videos on Instagram and stuff. But, like, the beavers come up into the traps, and then Chris is getting all mad. He's like, that trap sucks. Blah, blah, blah. I can't do this. I can't. Like, he gets all mad. And it's like, dude, that's trapping. Like, how many people you talk about coyote hunting that go out there and they have, the prints have all gone around the trap. And, I mean, dude, you're trying to put the foot of an animal in a 1x1 circle.
2-inch, yeah.
And, it's just kind of crazy, man. It's so much fun. He's got his daughter Mackenzie with him, and it's been a blast. We've had an absolute blast in trapping. It's kind of sparked the fire underneath me because I haven't trapped in years up until this year, and now to trap with these guys and and kind of do that, and it's just been fun, man. It's put me, give me another winter sport. Like, I need one, but it's giving me another sport, so I'm not out shed hunting, dude. So it's all good. We're having fun with it. That's all that really matters. Do you have a killer's corner this week?
I got a little one.
You got a little one?
And then I got some special shout-outs, too. But
okay.
You guys got to step it up. I got a shout out to Corey Smith because he scooped some bone. I don't even know how many sheds he popped up, but Corey Smith posted some pictures with from some shed hunting, and then I got a shout out to Justin Caldwell. He's new to the group, and he posted up old West Virginia buck, beautiful buck too. So congratulations to Justin and welcome to the group.
Oh, that's Stubby. He's from TikTok.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pretty cool
I'm
dude.
not a TikToker.
Yeah, whatever. It's all right.
Well, and then I want to shout out the everybody that participated in the squirrel competition.
Yeah, man. Let's do that. That would definitely be cool. And I'll talk about
we
the
can
squirrel.
talk about that. Yeah.
You want to talk about it first? Or you want?
Well, let's shout these guys out
shout
first,
them
and then we'll
Shout
get
them out.
then we'll get down to the nitty gritty. So, I'll run through these ones real quick because we just want to thank everybody that participated. Michelle Lee, Charles from Whitetail Distraction, Ryan Fagan, Alexandra Fagan, Connor Girardi, Edward Stanky, Charlie Kurt, Jackie Melton, Tom Aligio, Melissa Nash, Bob Covell, Scott Wiley, Josh Rykowski, and Joseph Earl and Willow.
Hell yeah, man.
So thank you guys for participating, man. We had a good time watching the action, and it got heavy there.
It did get heavy, man. So last year, so we've had a decline in entries. Last year was over 50 entries. This year was 13 entries. But I'll tell you this, man. Things got so crazy. Like last night, me and Mardik were going back and forth talking, dude. So at closing time, there was Edwin. So Raisky had posted like 3 different times throughout the day of
Joseph did.
No. Raisky did.
Okay.
He had posted 3 different times on like he shot this one and then he did this one. He had the 2 black ones. He had 2 gray ones. So whatever that. So he ended up with 21. Okay. And he was in the lead. I mean, dude, him and Joseph had bounced back and forth.
But just this week, because mind you, last week when we recorded, I remember saying there was a commanding lead.
Yeah.
Like Joseph was running away with it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden this week, just the gap got closed.
And Raisky had put in a ton of time and kicked ass. And then Joseph Earl had put in and keeping that commanding lead or trying to keep that commanding lead. And then out of nowhere, dude, Edwin smashes it, dude. He goes on vacation or he was at work and then ended up coming back and just smashed it.
Because he got a very late start.
And he did get a very late start because of deer season and work. But this is the crazy thing. So we were about to so the winner right now, there's a tied winner, right? So we have Joseph Earl and Willow, and then there's Edwin Stanky. They both got 22. So those guys tied for first place. But Joseph Earl got the biggest red. So he's going to take the biggest red prize, and we're going to give Edwin the most prize, right? So we don't double up. And then Connor Girardi,
yep.
He got the biggest gray squirrel at 24 inches. And then the biggest red squirrel was 26 inches. So it was just a crazy competition, dude. Like, we were, like, watching it, and we're like, oh, it's like the Super Bowl, dude. They keep going back and forth.
That's exactly what it was like, yeah.
It was super, super awesome. And we appreciate every single one of you guys that do this.
It was not late last night, but, I mean, it was after it was dark. And Josh had posted a number at 21, and then you're playing with your phone here. Josh posted the number at 21, and then Joseph had posted up a couple more that we were trying to figure out if we put them at 21 or 22, so we would have had a tie at 21.
Oh, and yeah, because he had made that post earlier.
And then all of a sudden, Edwin comes out of nowhere and posts up like 7 squirrels yesterday, which put him at 22. So it was a matter if it was Edwin at 22 for the outright lead with a 2-way tie at second, or if Joseph actually ended up with 22. Then we had a 2-way tie at first. It was nuts.
It definitely was crazy, man. It really was. So we appreciate everybody who kind of jumps onto that. For you guys that missed out on that whole competition, get on over to the Outdoor Drive on Facebook. It's our Facebook group, and then we have the Outdoor Drive on on the regular Facebook page. So don't miss out on none of that stuff, guys. Get on the website. We're changing things up. Things are good. Come and see us in PA if you guys are there. Reach out to us. We'll meet up with you guys, shake hands, maybe go get a beer if you're cool enough. And then we have Springfield and Mohegan show locally. And we appreciate everybody kind of for doing it. Make sure to share the podcast with whoever you can. Like, subscribe on YouTube because YouTube's about to get on fire. We're about to release a ton of videos from the boys from the past season of some of their really big deer, and then we're going to roll right into turkey season. Guys, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. I'm telling you, you guys are going to miss out on some of the biggest opportunities that you possibly can. With that, we have been missing out on one thing this whole entire time, and I am super excited to bring it back. But our good buddy, Mr. Mike Salter, is going to take it away on the news. Let's get into his world and see what he's got going on. All right, guys, why don't we buckle up and see what's going on in the world of news with Mr. Mike Salter.
Hey everyone, let's start this one off in Pennsylvania, where the Game Commission is asking for the public's help finding turkey flocks to trap for ongoing projects. The agency is asking people to report any turkey flock locations through March 15th online at pgcdatacollection.pa.gov/turkey brood survey, where you will be asked to provide the date, location, and the type of land, among other information. Game Commission crews will be visiting sites to assess them for the potential to trap turkeys, and any trapped turkeys will not be moved, but will be fitted with leg bands and released on site. In 4 WMUs, some turkeys will also be fitted with GPS transmitters. As part of an ongoing study, people will be asked to report any turkeys found dead or harvested with leg bands by calling the number or emailing the Game Commission using the information on those bands. The study is looking at how landscape and weather impact nesting, hen nest rates, nest success, poult survival, predation, habitat use and movement, and also disease components such as how disease prevalence varies based on landscape and how it impacts things like survival and nesting rates of hens of different ages. The public has been a major help in the study and needs the continued support for this research. So get on over there and report those turkey broods. Now for an update on the Boone and Crockett Club's Poach and Pay program, where the program has recently completed analysis of early data from the surveys of landowners, hunters, and conservation officers. The program sent surveys to these 3 groups in 8 states, with 1,600 sent to law enforcement officers with an 87.5% return rate. 80,000 were sent to hunters with a 17% return rate, and 80,000 were sent to landowners with only a 5% return rate. For hunters, that was only 13,675 valid responses from 80,000, which is kind of atrocious in my opinion. We need to do better as a group. As expected, all 3 groups indicated they considered the illegal take of wildlife in their state to be a serious issue, with 88% of landowners, 90% of hunters, and 90% of officers rating the problem as very serious, very serious, or extremely serious. All 3 groups were also consistent with a 50% detection rate, meaning someone knew about the poaching, 45% reported rate, and 42% resolved rate where cases actually went to court. Follow-up questions indicated the groups felt illegal take of big game resulted in negative impacts to populations, hunt quality, hunt opportunity, access to hunting lands, and public perception, and also suggested that illegal take is cryptic with very few incidents being witnessed, and more concerning, that survey results indicated fewer than half of the witnessed illegal poaching is reported to law enforcement. If you haven't had a chance to look into this program, I highly recommend checking it out, as they intend to create a national framework for poaching punishments. So keeping with the theme of poaching, let's head to Nebraska, where the Nebraska Game and Parks has created a new crime reporting tool. The new online reporting tool allows people to anonymously report suspected wildlife violations through a form at outdoornebraska.gov/wildlife crime stoppers. People reporting can submit photos and even indicate if they are interested in a reward if charges are filed due to their tip. Once the report is submitted, the report goes directly to a conservation officer in the county where the incident is suspected. While this is now the preferred method of reporting, reports can still be made by calling the Nebraska Wildlife Crime Stoppers hotline. Now let's turn to Indiana, an opportunity for those looking to learn more about the outdoors. The DNR is offering an Indiana Master Naturalist course, which will be held on Wednesdays from April 19th through June 10th from 6 to 9:30 p.m. at Pokagon State Park. There will also be 3 Saturday sessions on April 22nd, May 13th, and June 10th. This program will provide an opportunity for adults to learn about Indiana's natural resources from experts on topics such as wildlife, tree and wildlife identification, and geology. You must attend 8 of these sessions to receive the IMN certificate, along with passing quizzes at each session and completing 24 hours of volunteer work, 12 of which must be served in Indiana with a state or local natural resource organization. Registration is open until March 24th. And there is a $120 registration fee. And for more info on how to register, you can go to indianamasternaturalist.org. Lastly, to Vermont and some opportunities for folks to attend free winter fishing clinics. Vermont Fish and Wildlife will be hosting an introduction to smelt fishing on February 9th at Waterbury Reservoir from 4:15 to 7 p.m. An introduction to ice fishing on February 21st at Dewey's Mill Pond from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. And an introduction to fly tying on Tuesday evenings on March 14th, 21st, 28th, and April 4th and 11th at the ANR Annex in Berlin. All equipment will be provided for these clinics, and pre-registration is required through the Fish and Wildlife website, but some great opportunities there. So as always, if you have any news to send along to me, it'd be greatly appreciated. Reach out to me at Mike Salter on Facebook or beard_bowhunter21 on Instagram. With that, enjoy the rest of your ride.
All right, man. Mike, it's great to have you back, buddy. We love you. I know things have been kind of crazy and hectic for all of us. We've been traveling and podcasts, and you've been busy and so on and so forth, and we've missed out on the news, man. But I'm glad that you're back, and I'm glad that that we got the news for your cruise kind of kicking off. And speaking of, one more person that we need to see, and then we're going to get into the Jared Burke Foundation podcast with Mr. John Burke himself. But I need to go and see my man, Manish.
Oi, you! Yeah, you! Put down that mug of Joe and get your lips wrapped round one of these bad boys. That's right. Nor'easter game calls. Give it a blow. Nor'easter game calls. Get 'em in close.
This winter, use Huntworth's Heat Boost products for impeccably warm body parts, guaranteed. Get more for less with Huntworth.
New Era Archery, home of the Zeus Broadheads as well as the Hera. Let the Zeus loose with New Era Archery. I would just like to thank our generous sponsors. Back over to you, Trevor.
Ah, good old Manny. I appreciate you, buddy. Well,
You forgot one.
oh, what?
Man, you forgot a sponsor. The new sponsor. Trapper Don Soda.
Oh yeah, the old time soda, man, from Trapadon. Oh, that stuff's so good. I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. It's so good. But what do you think, dude? Let's go see Mr. John Burke and let's talk about the Jared Burke Foundation. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it up.
Let's go. All right, we're back on the phone with John Burke from the Jared Burke Foundation. How we doing, John?
Doing good tonight, fellas. How are you?
We're doing very well, man. We really appreciate you jumping on, and I know it's the end of the season and then gets kind of important. This is probably the most important time of the year for you.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gearing up for another exciting year of outdoor opportunities for those that are less fortunate, disabled, and wounded warriors and such that we cater to. Looking forward to getting everything set up. I'm actually got several of them set already. It's exciting though. We start getting into the time when spring turkey season that comes in. That's when we start jumping on it and head out through the rest of the year with fall, August through December and January being like a solid filled hunt after hunt after hunt after outdoor adventure. So it's a great thing, and always look forward to it and get a little excited about it every year and when we're getting ready to set everything up, you know.
Absolutely. Well, we're already in the mud, man. Let's put this thing in four-wheel drive. Why don't you tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about what you do, John?
All right. My name is John Burke. I'm from Southern Illinois. Grew up there my entire life. I started an organization, Jared Burke Foundation. I'll give you a little prelude to that. My family, my mom and dad got married back in 68 or 67. I was born in 68. My dad was from Brooklyn, New York, and my mom was from the Midwest. So how them two met was Dad was in the Air Force. Got there, over to Germany. Here we come, back from Germany. That's where I was born at, in a military brat. So I always had a fondness for the military and such, which was one of the key points I wanted to do when we got into this Jared Burke Foundation. So ultimately, my father passed away in 1997 when he was 51 years old of cancer. And I was the oldest in the family. And I had my brother Chris, who was a couple years younger than me. And then I had my sister Shannon, who I was 12 when mom told us she was pregnant with her. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that. That's 12. I'm 12 years old. What are you doing? So then 2 years later, Jared came along, my younger brother. We had a blast with those two growing up, teaching them. And Jared always come along hunting with me. I'd have him out running trot lines and everything on the outdoors, anything we could do out there. And Jared ultimately, like I said, Dad died of cancer in '97. I took Jared out to Polk County to go deer hunting. He was 16, and he loaded his gun at the truck that morning, and it discharged. And I told him, you can't use it, so you need to put it away. And ultimately, the begging and pleading and carrying on that a 16-year-old would do to ensure you that he's not going to do anything outside the norm or outside of any kind of safety. I made the biggest mistake of my life, and I'll let him take that gun out in the woods. And ultimately, that day, he dropped that gun out of his deer stand. It discharged. It hit him and killed him. And that was so began a 14-hour search in the Shawnee National Forest to try to find him, because he had taken his orange off, and little unbeknownst to me, I'd walked by him a couple times, and he, that was 2.5 hours from home. So after they had found him, and they told me, after trying to gain my composure, luckily I had Don Logger was down there, a friend of mine, and a gal I was seeing then, Connie, her son Kyle Delahunt was down there with me, and we made the drive back and got back to my mom's house and walked in the house, and mom says, "Hey, you guys are back already?" And my mom was there, my sister, and my grandma, and I told mom, I said, you need to sit down. She goes, "Well, where's Jared?" I said, "Mom, you need to sit down." She goes, "No, where's Jared?" I said, "Mom." She goes, "You can tell me whatever you got to tell me while I'm standing up." And I was like, there was an accident. Jared's gun shot and killed him. And that was probably the toughest moment in my life right there, watching my mom and everybody react to it. And that's when my mom was walking around saying, "No, no, 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 no." My sister's on the floor, balled up. Grandma's rocking the rocking chair. I can see it like it was yesterday, and you have an experience like that, it's something you never quite forget. So they ended up, mom finally stopped, and she walked over and he looked at me. She goes, "How did you do this without," I go, "Well, I couldn't very well call you on the phone and tell you something like this. I had to come home and let you know." So here I am. And that's when mom went from almost an instant grieving to instant, "Oh my God, I got to save this boy." And that's what mothers do. And she's, like I say, she's been in our lighthouse on the rocky shore, saving me from myself at times even. But through all of that, I worked with several different organizations, and Jared was always in our minds, and he had some special influence on some. We had my son Alex I was supposed to go pick Alex up the day that Jared got killed, and he was living in Charleston, South Carolina, with his mom and stepdad, and I was going to meet them over in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Well, Suzanne, his mom, was the first person that had to call to tell them don't come. And me and her had been together through the whole time Jared and Shannon were growing up, so it was especially hard for her also. And we ended up, Alex came out, we had the funeral, we buried Jared on the second anniversary of my dad's death, November 25th. And then Alex went back and he calls me up a couple weeks later, and a little 7-year-old, and he's telling me him and Jared always had a special bond. He said Jared left something for him out in the woods, and I was like, yeah, we picked everything up out in the woods there. Alex, he goes, no, Uncle Jared comes to me in a dream and tells me he left something for me in the woods. And he goes, can I go see where Uncle Jared died when I come out? And I thought that was kind of a strange request from a 7-year-old when you're doing it. It's like, you're 7 years old. What in the heck is going on here? So, well, after he come out on Christmas, and we walked out to the woods, and we got up to where the pines demarcate the Shawnee National Forest. They planted pines way back when, so they could. I mean, from an era, you can tell where the boundaries are. Is not really a fence. It's just a thick edge of evergreens. So we get through there, and there's a balloon on the ground, and it said pop the balloon, see the note inside, and we pop it, and it was from a school, some grade school kids in Kilgore, Texas, and it said to tell them what we were doing, where we were at the time that we found this balloon. Ultimately, we did contact them, but my brother Chris said, Alex, how'd you know this was here? He goes, that ain't it. It's over by that tree over there. And he pointed over to the tree Jared got killed out of. And Chris goes, what's that? And Alex never been there before in his life, right? He goes, that's a tree that, I go, look at the crucifix at the bottom. I said, that's where that's a tree got killed in. And he goes, damn. So Alex walks up there. He's looking around, and he looks where Jared was laying. You can still see the remnants of what happened. And he stepped over a log, walked in front, looks up, just like Jared's stand his climber was still in the stand. He looks up there, he starts throwing around the leaves, and he picks up his grunt call out of the leaves and said, this is what Uncle Jared told me to come and get. Wow. I mean, that was like, yeah, that right there. My brother Chris goes, I'm out of here. I go, you kidding me? I said, Jared's here with us right now. You got to be joking me. I said, it's time. Let's take a knee and talk about this with him. I said, he just played one on us. So started a lot of the stuff with the Jared, with me doing things that helping others out and everything, and thinking of Jared and wanting to start something. And after working with several organizations over the years, ultimately in 2014, I was at training with work. I worked for Jacobs Engineering. I was at up in the Denver office on some training, and I just said, you know what, I think I'm going to start my own thing. So called my cousin Mark Crakey and said, hey, you in? He goes, well, all in. Let's do it. So we started on the 501c3, and we created the Jared Burke Foundation in memory of my brother Jared, and that was the start of what we began. And what we do is we provide outdoor adventures, hunting, fishing, anything outdoors, canoeing, anything that's got to do with the outdoors and being out in the outdoors. Because frankly, that's where I got my healing after Jared passed away. And I think the healing, nature has a way of healing your soul when you're out in it, not necessarily going out and taking an animal or anything, like just being out there and looking at what God created is worth every minute that you spend out there. So yeah, we've been doing this since 2014 now.
Wow, that's an amazing story though. That's incredible. With even the the little guy going out there and finding that grunt tube, and that's just I'm kind of blown away, honestly.
Dude. Hairs on the back of my neck standing up.
Dude. To be a part of it and see it when Alex did that, it was like, what kind of these two did have a connection. I mean, there's a connection there, and so it's always been with that. After starting Jared Burke Foundation, we embarked on doing anywhere from over the last since 2015, we've done anywhere from 12 to 20 outings. And when I say outings, I don't mean like just local outings. We got some local stuff, but how I met you, Trevor, up at Big Machias Lake, the just Corey and everybody up there. It's just the lab way is just it's an amazing thing to be able to meet people like you and those guys that are always willing to help us out with stuff. And it the outings that we do, not including just the bear hunt in Maine, we do gator hunts in Louisiana, we do bear hunts in North Carolina, fishing off in Venice, elk and mule deer and antelope and everything out in Montana. We've got a 10-year lease we just embarked in with Specimen Creek Outfitters out in Gardner, Montana last March. And it's a great place in the mountains where we can take veterans and such to go out and experience just being in the mountains. It's not necessarily all about the hunting, but just being out there. And when you're sitting around the areas out there, it's just a great thing. So we've been doing that. Then we've got hunts all over around Illinois, Missouri, goose hunts, and you name it. They come to me. They go on our website. They put down what they want to do, and I try to make it happen.
That's incredible. Is there certain people that you try to find to bring on these hunts? Is there per se like wounded warriors or people with disabled? Do you kind of stick to one group of people that to take out and hunt, or?
No, it's really we started off with doing a disabled hunt for kids and people that might be terminal, and we added in a lot of the veteran stuff, and then we're going to embark on. We've had some first responders in that out also, because we sometimes forget about how these first responders see a lot of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they'll never get out of their head when they're out there, and God bless them because they're out there helping us be safe, and trying to keep us safe from harm and saving our lives all at the same time. My uncle was a lieutenant on New York City's fire department, and I had the pleasure of being able to take some of those guys out for a hunt in Illinois. That was one of those Jared experiences where we were coming up out of the mountains. Me and Nick Jondro, who you've met before, Trevor, my guy that does my video and most of the time. We were coming out of the mountains, and I'm checking through emails, and I got this email from Ray, and I'm like, wonder what this is. So I went through and started looking, and he said, I'm a New York City fireman, and you don't know me, but we have a guy in our firehouse, or a friend of ours. He is a lieutenant, so he was out of their house by then, but he developed ALS. So he said it was a time where they were looking for something for him, because he said, frankly, we want to get out there in the Midwest because the bucks we hunt up here in New York, upstate, and in Jersey, the only time we see bucks like you got is like you've got by you is when we're on the hunting channel or we're at Cabela's. So he goes, we want to get out there and do some of that. So we got hooked up over at Illinois down at Bucks, and Greg Hansen, Mick, nicknamed Mick, lieutenant, came out with his son, and they both ended up. His son took a doe, and he took I think it's 13 pointer, but that was those first responders. He was a decorated one, so those are the kind of people we're going to cater to. Also, just people that have had some bad life experiences. We've taken out people that have disabled children that they've elected to keep those children in their homes, so they provide total care for them instead of being at a facility. Which hats off to them people. It's just an amazing thing to it's their child, and I can understand that, being a father myself and now a grandfather, and it just sometimes they need a break also. So I'll help provide that break for them, even if it's only for a week of getting away and doing something. They'll get out and be able to experience something that, taking them to the mountains, or we've been down in the bayou gator hunt with another gentleman that it's just fun time. And, it was something that they come away and say, John, I don't think I could ever thank you for that. And that's where it's rewarding for me, because I've gone on probably 90 or 95% of all these outings that we've done since 2015. And that's probably, 8 times, 150 outings or something like, or more,
Wow.
that we've done in that amount of time. And, it's always been a special thing. And there's a lot of them that, the ones that are near and dear to my heart. Our first one we ever did was for Brian Schulte of Breeze, Illinois, and he was a big taxidermist and outdoor enthusiast around us, and he had ALS, and that was our first. Actually, ALS was our first hunt, and we did a hog hunt in Texas. So when you end up losing those guys a couple years later, Brian passed, and you you hope that were able to just give them for a brief moment in time something that made them happy and made them forget about what was all going on. So, and in light of that, I try to stay in touch with the families, especially the ones that we've lost over the years. It's just Steve Platt, his son, Navy veteran. We had on a hog hunt in Texas too, and he had cancer from his service in the Navy, and and he had passed. And there's just several guys, Justin Langenhorst, triple amputee Marine Justin McLeod. He had killed an antelope with us, and Jared Emig, him and his wife went on a hunt 5 years ago, and he ended up killing an elk and a mule deer. And Jared had cancer. He was missing. He'd been fighting it for 4 years. He was missing a part of the lobe of one of his lungs, and he ended up running around the mountains. Like, the guide was like, "Are you sure you're sick?" And he ended up. Jared was just amazing out there. Unfortunately, and that was in the end of October, and January 15th of 5 years ago, he passed away, unfortunately, after a hell of a fight. I mean, you see these guys fight like this, and you take these people out that don't know if they're ever going to be able to do something like this again. And there's all the reward for me, is in those moments where I can see them smile and see that they're happy, at least for that time, and talking with the family members and such. And it's all about the people that donate to us. We're 100% donation. We're 100% volunteer. The whole Jared Burke Foundation. I've got a committee of 13 people. My sister Shannon is the secretary. My brother Chris is the vice president. One of Jared's classmates, Brian Feeney, and then my son Alex, and we got Nick Jondro and BJ Roberts, and just a whole string of other guys, and they know who they are. They make it for Jared Burke Foundation with everything we do, through getting donations, volunteering, helping out all the time. It's a great thing. So
It definitely takes a special kind of person to take these people out, and then like, how do you emotionally not break down every single time, John? Because I think me, as who I am, like, if I was to, and I've had the opportunity of hunting with some pretty amazing people, like, the first responders. We had Will Jimeno, who was one of the survivors that was actually underneath the Twin Towers, and I was blessed with the opportunity to be able to bring him out turkey hunting here.
absolutely.
And we videoed the whole entire thing, just like you do with all of the people that go and hunt with you. And to go back and look at that, like, we didn't kill a turkey, but the opportunities that arise and the memories and the words that were shed between us were some of the most amazing words that I will forever remember. And they make you appreciate the hunt even more. But, like, I don't know how someone like you can go through this and do it constantly and not just, like, absolutely lose it every single time.
I got a lot of time driving around by myself with the Amtrak stuff that we do. for my job through Jacobs Engineering, my real job. With me doing, I got a lot of time to think because I'm by myself a lot. And believe me, brother, there's times where I think about one of these guys or one of these people, and if anybody's seen me driving down the road, be like, wonder what happened to him. Like, wowzers.
Yeah, and it's so crazy that like you said, man, nature heals a lot of things. The outdoors heals a lot of things and keeps a lot of people out of trouble, and B, keeps them fighting. Like I bet you that you see that a lot, where these guys that are in these bad positions, they then are in the outdoors, and they probably hunt harder than us guys that are able gentlemen to be able in the woods.
Oh, absolutely. It's an amazing thing. I mean, we've got 2 track chairs that enable us to be able to get some of these guys out there who never get out there, other than just taking them out on side by sides or whatever. But we try to do whatever we can with it, even with assistance for the rifle scopes and such, with screens on there that they show the reticle. They can get onto them and be able to process that stuff. There's a lot of good folks out there that help supply some of that stuff and help us out with it. And they're all great people. So it's a great community. It's actually when you actually get into the community of doing this, you start meeting more people, and you actually have some belief in humanity with all the crap going on in the world nowadays. You look at it and go, man, there's actually some people out there that are really after doing the good things for everybody, and that's what it's all about. So yeah, and like you said, it helps me when I can help these people to do something, and I don't look at it as it's taxing on me at all. I'm not looking for any major recognition or anything, even though it comes along with it. This past year, I got inducted in Illinois Outdoor Hall of Fame, and because of the stuff. Thank you very much. That was an honor. Another honor that was given to me this past a year ago in December was I do a lot of stuff with our local Vietnam vets and the vets, and they bestowed upon me an honorary lifetime membership in the Vietnam Veterans of America, and that was I can't even tell you how much that meant to me, because I've always respected the hell out of those guys, and all of our military and veteran folks that have fought. Come from a big military background. I myself never got to serve because I had asthma as a child, and they wouldn't let me in. I tried lying through all that, but that didn't work. So, so now I help serve others that served, and that's my way of giving back.
I bet you that it helps you a ton too, like all the stuff that you've personally been through, and then having to constantly deal with losing some of these people that are dearest to you, to be able to be out there with those people and enjoying what they do. Like there's some people that, like they have to be in the light and the glory, but then there's the real people that are just perfectly fine being behind that lens or guiding those people to that successful moment.
Right. Yeah, it is. It's amazing. And the families, the outpouring of love from the families before and after we do these outings. And then again, later on, we had another special guy that, man, I only knew him for a couple of years, but Max Hankins, he was, we took him out to Wilderness Lodge in Tennessee, and he ended up getting a ram. He killed a ram and a hog, and then they gave us a turkey hunt, and he shot this turkey. It was like he did the grand slam on one turkey. This thing was Eastern turkey, probably had a little bit of its feathers were all kinds of different colors. It's like, I can't even tell you what kind this one's got predominant gene in. It was crazy. We shot at it one day and missed it. They came back same spot, same time. Next day, I was like, is somebody feeding this thing, or what's going on? Here it coming. We ended up getting that turkey too. So that was a great time. with Max. He had ALS, and like I said, he was good stuff.
That's got to be. There's got to be a lot of laughs in all of this, honestly, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If we're not digging on each other, stabbing each other in the back while we're on these things, I'm thinking they got something against me. You know, it's
Yeah.
like because I get on them right away. I mean, Justin McLeod, for example, triple amputee Marine. He served with my great nephew over in with 3-5 Dark Horse, or David Hickle, my great nephew over in Afghanistan, and he lost 2 legs and an arm. Well, we took him out and did an antelope hunt with him. Took him out turkey hunting. When we were going to bring him out turkey hunting that morning, we get down to the he gets down to the lobby, and we're sitting there having some coffee, and I go, "Well, let's roll." He goes, "Right away. Wheelchair jokes in the morning, John. Is that is that what you do right away?" I go, "Oh."
He got me.
So I go, "Damn, Justin." And so he gets in the truck, and he said, I mean, it was lighthearted. This is the fun part of doing it when they can actually talk about their disabilities or joke about them. Like he's like, "Hey, John, you need to put anything up here in the front seat?" I go, "Well," he goes, "Well, I don't need the room on the floor." And I'm like, "Damn, Justin." You're something else, boy. But yeah, he's missed also. That's those guys that went and did their thing and come back, and that's where it catered to the folks in the military that have the visible and invisible injuries, because a lot of them you don't know what they got until you're sitting and they end up talking to you about it, and you hear some of that stuff, and it's like, man, I got a bigger appreciation for them more and more. The more I go out with these guys and the more stories I hear of different things that happen to these guys, the more respect and honor I have for them. And I look at the flag a little bit better and a little bit harder and feel a little bit more when it's flapping in the wind, So it's one of those things that is great. One of the crazy things about, when I was talking about just the first responders, that it's just flags flapping in the wind. The firehouse, the guys over at the Watchdogs in Brooklyn, they're Tunnels of Towers, Sillers. Their Stephen was in that firehouse, and when he came off duty and ran through the tunnel, so they actually provided a home for Mick this past year, the lieutenant fireman in New York. So it's stuff like that when you hear stories like that and the outpouring and everything coming together, and not only I add something, they added a huge thing, obviously a house, and then just everything that goes along with it. It's just a special deal.
That's incredible, man. To live deer camp with some of the most amazing people in the world. I couldn't even imagine. Like I could not even imagine some of the stuff that goes on. It's
Right.
It's mind blowing even just hearing the stories and the things that you've been through. Like and it's like it makes you think. It's like, well, what can I do to help? Because like these people deserve it. There's so many of them out there that probably would never, like, how do you even get them to come to the front lines to even want to do something like this? Like, that's got to be something, because a lot of these guys, they're very humble, they're very quiet.
Right.
They're not going to make it where they want it to be seen.
Right. And that's what we started a special program out there at Specimen Creek Outfitters, when I take the veterans and the Vietnam veterans predominantly we have done over the last several years outside of the hunts that we do a trip, and I'm going to try to make it 2 or 3 different trips a year where we take the vets out. And I had my father-in-law, Sonny, out there because he's got stage 3 mesothelioma, and he went out with us with his wife, Vicky, and then Gina came out, and they were along with another 7 or 8 veterans. And we Vietnam vets we had, and some of the guys from Jared Burke Foundation Committee, Laura Beckman, Alan Beckman, BJ, Nick, and Mark O'Laughlin, his son, came out and brought those guys out separate. Some of us flew out, some of us drove out, but we get out there and we find that place in the mountain that the first time I ever went out there 8 years ago, Lloyd Johnson, who owns Specimen Creek, took me up in the mountains. It was the first time we ever hunted there, and we had a guy whose son, we had Rick Albers out there. Dylan Albers, his son was injured in an ATV accident and requires care. So Rick, his wife asked me if she could do something for him, and I was like, absolutely. Rick's constantly with him. Absolutely, I'd take him. So we brought him out elk hunting, and then Rick had to leave early because Dylan was going to hunt with Ted Nugent on Wednesday. So he had to leave on Wednesday to go home and drive up to Ted's place in Michigan. So he could, which is another group, Hal Hempen Foundation. They do some good stuff with Special Olympics and some guys they take up. They got a very good relationship with Ted Nugent. So those guys, Trey Johnson, them, big shout out to those guys. They do some phenomenal work with them too. So, but we got Rick out, and then Lloyd said, John, he goes, hey, you want to go for a ride up the mountain? So we got on a couple of horses and took off up the mountain, got all the way up by this trapper's cabin where he used to play as a kid. And it's a phenomenal, the whole story about Lloyd, I could go on about what they've been, his dad's been there since 1935, guiding right outside of Yellowstone. So it's like unbelievable stories. Probably some of them I couldn't even tell you on here because somebody get in trouble or they say, what the heck's going on? But
those are the best ones.
They are the best ones, man. So Lloyd got me up there and he's sitting there and he goes, so what do you want to do with Jared Burke Foundation out here? He goes, now that I see what you're doing, I'm not a Facebooker. I'm not any of the social media. He's a mountain man. So he said, I told him, I said, we want to turn this into something where we can bring people where they just need something to refresh their soul, something in nature. And I think this is a perfect spot. I go, what better than out here in the mountains, the Absaruka Range and that out there next to Yellowstone. It's just beautiful. And we just sat there, and that's when we formed a bond right there. I think that day that has lasted and only grown stronger over the last several years through all these folks we've taken out and done stuff with. And, the first time Lloyd drug Justin McLeod over the top of his threshold, and he looked at me, he had a tear coming down out of his eye, and he just shook his head. And I was like, yep, we're getting there. And every year we get a little bit closer and a little bit more, and we do a little bit more, and we add some more things. And it's become a great place for these guys. And Lloyd I can't say enough about him and how wonderful of a person he is. He came up with this thing this year. They got 2 cabins that are about a quarter mile away from his house where the main lodge is. And you get up there, you get down to those cabins, and it's right next to a rolling stream. It's rolling 24/7, 365. And you like to sleep, even though it's 9 below, you want to sleep with the window open because you can hear it running. I mean, constant, and it's soothing. But Lloyd this year started a thing that really set me back and made me look at him in a different light. And what he wanted to do, he said, John, he goes, I want to start a memorial out here. So all these guys that come out here and sit at this campfire and they talk about their bad experience that they had in Vietnam or in the Gulf War or in Iraq or Afghanistan on the second round. I want them to know that they've got a place where they can come and heal. And so he started this thing, building the wall of healing. And what they do is we went in and we grabbed rocks went into the creek right next to it, pull up a boulder, bring it out, and you put it in there in somebody's name. We don't write their names or anything on them. We just put them in there. So everybody that went before us with Jared Burke Foundation, where we grabbed a stone and we put them in the very bottom. One of those guys was Bob Petermeyer Carlisle, one of the Vietnam vets who went on the first Vietnam outing. He passed away last year in December. And Bobby is a character, man. He's fitting. Said so he'd be the foundation. So after that, everybody that comes out there, basically the premise and the thought behind it is they come and take a stone and they place it in that wall with all the other hurts from all the other people, and they leave them there for the mountain to take.
Wow.
So
that's powerful.
It's when Lloyd came up and told me that, I go, oh, you, sir, have a lot of time sitting up here in the mountains to be able to come up with some good stuff like this. And he keeps coming up with it. And it's a great thing. I mean, I can't say enough about it. And then, this past year we got that. And then we also had a Boy Scout camp close to us called Camp Joy that the Boy Scouts are ever restructuring and reorganizing and getting different districts. So a lot of the districts I was in when I was a kid, and Boy Scouts are all now in the St. Louis district because we live about 50 miles outside of St. Louis in Illinois. And so this camp was one of them that they forfeited. Well, the camp has been a Boy Scout camp 75 years. And we went to go negotiations with the people because the deed said if the Boy Scouts ever left or didn't use it anymore, it reverts back to the Centralia Foundation, which is an organization, a charitable organization in Centralia, Illinois by us. And when they got it, we went in and said, hey, would you want to deed it to Jared Burke Foundation, or what can we do here to get this done? They ultimately said they want to sell it outright. And there's 160 some acres of wooded area with it's a Boy Scout camp. So it's a shooting range, clay bird range, archery range, a dining facility, first aid house, a conference center, several cabins, loads of campsites, a 7 to 8 acre lake, the docks, the beach, the everything. I mean, like turnkey thing. And when they said they did that, I knew I didn't have the money to buy it. Well, the guy that lived in my hometown and I've known my whole life, Carl Becker, and his wife Taylor, stepped up and bought the property. And then they turned it into put in an irrevocable trust that it has to be used for charitable stuff forever. So now Jared Burke Foundation, the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, community religious groups, anybody that wants to get out in nature and do something, we started that, and it made me vice president of the camp too. So I got that going along with JBF and my job. But Carl and me were sitting out there one day. He goes, "What are we going to name this place?" And this thing's got some major league pine trees in it. And we're just sitting. I walked outside and I was like, heard that through the pines. I was go, Whispering Pines. And I go, there ain't nothing like when you're bow hunting or something up in a bunch of pines and that tree's swaying back and forth and that music's playing. And good night. So I'm going to be strapped in, boys, because you don't want to go out of that. But so we've got that place now that we're part of it. Jared Burke Foundation is part of the organizations that are out there at the camp, and I can't thank them enough for doing that for us, because now we've got a place where I can do hunter safety courses, which we're getting ready to start doing for that through Illinois Department of Natural Resources. And we've had fishing derbies, and we have Aaron Hurst Foundation, good friend of ours, Bob Hurst. He lost his son in an ATV accident. And I've been a part of donating to those guys for the last 4, 5, 6 years. And we do a waterfowl and conservation education day for the kids. We had this past fall, we had September, we had 75 kids out there with Alps Outdoors, always a great sponsor and donates a bunch of stuff to us. And the kids come out and they get to do learn how to build wood duck boxes. They have retriever demonstrations. They pattern shotguns. They shoot clay birds. They do archery. They shoot BB guns. They run all over camp, and the best part of all is every one of them's got a duck call. So imagine 75 kids going at it. Well, we used to do it at the World Shooting Complex in Sparta, Illinois. We had lunch in a shed. That was almost too much, but I'd always give a safety talk there. We have the game wardens out to do some talking and tell them what, one of the best things that Steve Vasicek, who's the leader of the labor force in Illinois for the game wardens, he had one of the best sayings I thought I've ever heard in one of those classes. And he asked everybody, the kids, if they knew what integrity was. And they came up with several different responses, truth and this, that, and the other thing. And then he said, well, kids, he goes, here's what it is. Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. And I thought, that's right on. Mm-hmm. So that was an important thing to drive home for them. And that, along with give them the experience of what I just told you guys earlier about how Jared got killed. And, it just took a couple seconds of me not thinking to totally turn my life upside down. And now we've come out of that with what we're doing with Jared Burke Foundation. So I like to call it a success story in our lives, the Burke family. So it's been a great experience. But the camp we're up and running. The Wounded Warrior Project's looking at us. We've got them coming out June 24th to do some fishing, and hopefully we can get a lot of stuff going with their Project Odyssey, which incorporates the whole family into the PTSD environment and gets them acclimated so the kids and the wives and everybody know what's going down with some of the struggles.
Wow.
Or like I call the invisible wounds.
Wow. Was there a moment for you that you sat back and you kind of were like, I can't believe that I put all of this together and now it's all happening?
Usually I'm too busy to think about that.
Yeah.
but yeah, there's been times where I've sat back and especially when they gave me put me in the Outdoor Hall of Fame in Illinois. I went to do an interview for them, and I've got a video of that up on both Illinois Conservation Foundation's site, and you can find it on Jared Burke Foundation Facebook page or YouTube. And you'll be able to just search for it when I got inducted. But they did an interview with me, and then once I listened to the interview afterwards, I was in the interview when I'm doing it, so I didn't think anything of it. But when I come out of it and I got to watch the video, I was like, man. And I said, thank you, Jared, for doing this, because you helped me make it. You helped me get through it, and I put my faith in God and my little brother that wasn't here, and he plays us all the time. Here's one story from up by you guys of when we were up in Maine. We were coming out of the North Woods. We pulled up to the gas station. I might have told you this last fall, but so we pull up to the gas station, and I'm fueling up the truck before we're peeling back to Illinois, taking our wonderful 24-hour drive. So I get up there, and this guy and his wife are sitting on a Harley sitting there at the gas station. And all of a sudden he comes walking up, and I turn around. He goes, am I bothering you, sir? Can I ask you a question? I go, you're not bothering me, sir. I go, what's up? He goes, you see this? He goes, Jared Burke Foundation. What's that about? And so I told him, I said, well, my brother Jared got killed hunting with me and everything. And he goes, me and my wife were just wondering because our nephew's name is Jared Burke. And I go, whoa. I go, no kidding. They go, yeah, we ain't seen him in a while, and we thought maybe he started something up here. So just wanted to check with you. He goes, but I thought that's awesome. So I go, here's my card. you can look at what we do. And that's when I had Dylan Alberts. Dylan had killed his bear, for Dylan. You remember him.
Yeah.
You can't forget Dylan.
No.
Double D. That's what the blinds did. Double D.
Yeah.
Double D blind. So, two Dylans, double D. And then, what they put up there that day. They had that double D brawl they put up there for a designation. I'm like, oh my God. That's a fun part about joking around with these guys and doing stuff like that. But
it's hanging on the front of the guide's tent, the guide's camp, right in the middle.
Yeah, it's on Jeff and Corey's cap.
Yeah.
So Dylan was. I said he just killed a bear. He goes, I'll tell you, it's the biggest bear. Then Dylan was going on about his bear, and then I told the guy, I said, if you got any questions or anything, just flip the card over. My name's John Burke, and the guy looked at me. I go, what? He goes,
that's my name.
My nephew Jared's dad's name is John Burke.
Wow.
I go, oh. Nick looked at me. He goes, no way, no. This happens every time we go somewhere. This is nope. He starts walking away. I was like, hey, Nick. I said, it didn't happen until we were leaving this time. So, it's always crazy. Something comes up that, my dad growing up in Brooklyn, when you see a lot of fours, because the guys in Dad's Tavern I grew up in, we lived upstairs at Dad's Tavern, and the lake level at Carlisle Lake in Illinois, that's Illinois' largest man-made lake, it's always 440 something above sea level. One day it was 444.44, and they said, Burke, hey, what's the lake level today? And all the guys be sitting there after work drinking a beer, and Dad go over there and goes, 444. Yeah, you guys. He wouldn't finish it. I won't say what he said, but you can imagine. But they all, they just laugh and laugh and laugh because they just love to hear him talking his Brooklyn accent, like, get your ass upstairs, boys, you can. That kind of stuff. But, it was always good times.
There's nothing better than that. Well, John, I have one last question for you, and this is I'm actually kind of interested about this one, honestly. This is a question that we ask everybody, and that question is, what drives you outdoors?
Seeing the next thing. What's the next thing that's going to go? What's the next thing? What's over that hill over there? What's over here? What's going to be in this woods over here? What adventure can we go on? Because it's a wanderlust that you never shake. I mean, it's one of those things that once you got the wanderlust and you want to be there and you want to be out in it, and the serenity and the peace that you get from being out there, whether you're seeing, I didn't shoot one deer this year. I walked past me, there was a bunch, and I just take out my phone, video them walking by. Like at the beginning of the season, there's does, and they got the babies with them. I'm like, nah, I can't do that. And then after the rut, then I'm like, no, they're pregnant. I can't do that. So the older I get, the more I get that way. But at the same time, what drives me is just being able to see what kind of experience I can give these people. And ultimately just, I want to see them happy. And that's the driving force behind it, along with my drive with the wanderlust I got. I can't get enough of going places, and seeing different things, experiencing things, because the world is a big, big place, and there's a lot of spectacular things that God created for us, and to see them is just a joy.
That's amazing. Well, you got something special going on with the Jared Burke Foundation right now that we kind of want to share with the listeners and everybody. You have a little bit of an auction, or why don't you go in and kind of explain that? We don't want to miss out on that. We had talked about all the great stuff. Now let's talk about some of this other stuff. I don't want to miss out on it.
This is how we fund all this great stuff.
Exactly.
So to get last year, we did probably about 20 some outings, and we had a budget probably around $85,000, which we were right on the money when we finished up. And along with that, we do donations to different organizations like Aaron Hurst Foundation, $6,000. We gave $10,000 to Whispering Pines, and we also entered into that lease agreement for 10 years in Montana, which a 10-year lease in Montana, it cost us $50,000, and that's unlimited trips. We can go out there to that place and go camp there and stay there. I mean,
Right.
that's what it's about. So yeah, along with all that, and then helping out with the Whispering Pines and trying to get that all started. We've got our annual banquet February 18th, and you can get onto Jared Burke Foundation's Facebook page. Jared is Jared. Burke is Burke Foundation. You can find us on Facebook, or you can jump onto our website and get on there and see all the stuff that we've done previously. But we also have a link when you get there to Gesture. It's an online auction site that we have. We got a lot of good stuff going on in auction. To give you an example, we haven't been live for the last 2 years just because of the COVID deal. But we come together at the Germantown, Illinois American Legion home on the third weekend of February every year since 2015. We've done this, except the last 2 years. Then this year we're all going to be back there. We put it down where we had 400 tickets available to go, and we put them on sale on Sunday a couple weeks ago, and by Tuesday night they were sold out. Wow! And that they've got different types of sponsorships in there. They've got $250 sponsorship that you can get just online, and then you're in a drawing for a number of probably up to 25 to 28 guns that we're going to raffle off. We'll be on there. We've got a lot of silent auction items, and we got a gun of the year where we do this key auction, and we got 10 or 11 keys that we auction off. So we got that going on for us, and that's, like I said, our big fundraiser. We got different cut deck of cards, gun raffles and stuff that you can get online and purchase a chance and all that kind of stuff. So like I said, you get on there, just click on the link, and you'll be able to go right to the site, sign up, and be able to put some of that stuff, bid on some of the stuff, and just participate. We'll be live streaming that night also. So welcome everybody out there to watch as we play every one of the videos we did from this past year, and give some recognition. I usually try to incorporate and give a honorary committee member to one or two younger people that we've taken out on some of these hunts. There's some that have been in a very dark spot, and they've come to shine now. And I want to recognize them and tell them now it's your turn to help me out, because I'm not going to live forever, and I need somebody to take on this thing when I'm gone to keep the legacy alive. So yeah, that's what it's all about. But everybody's invited to watch it and come on and check it out. And that's, like I said, we usually raise the lion's share of our money for the year that night.
So what I'll do is I will share the links below the podcast, and so that everybody can, and they'll be on our website also. And then what I'll do is when they do come up, I'll share them to our group and on our Facebook, so that everybody, so that we'll put out reminders also, so that, I know people are going to listen to this podcast, they're listening to this podcast now, but it'll be a little bit. So I'll make sure to remind everybody so that they can get on it. I don't want anybody to miss out on it if they wanted to. So we'll make sure to kind of share it around.
I'm sure that Scott File will listen to this. He's been a big listener here since we were out there at a bear hunt.
Yeah,
hi, Scott.
Yeah. Scott's a good dude, man. We chat back and forth after bear camp a ton. So
yeah, Kevin Carmen and him on the last bear hunt out there. That was an exciting time. Got a couple nice bears for two superheroes. They have servicemen that went to bat for all of us, so you can't say enough about all those guys.
I think it's so cool, like for myself and probably you too, like it's not even about the reward of all this, but it's about the people that you meet in your journey and how some of the most amazing people that you meet is in those journeys. Like myself meeting you, I was at bear camp, helping out at bear camp, and I got to meet you, which then became a friend, and now on the podcast. And Scott, I talked to Scott. And I have 1,000 different intertwining stories that are like that, and
Absolutely,
it makes it so enjoyable. It makes it so enjoyable.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, with when I do meet all these people, I mean, I was sitting in Uncle Si's living room back in September. I mean, how do you end up doing this? I know Phil McMillan through a friend of mine, Randy Clay, that got me in touch with him. And now every time we go down to hunt, we either go out to eat or we hang out with Uncle Si for a couple hours. I mean, it's super cool. I mean, those guys are well known and respected, and Uncle Si is a trip, man. He's something.
Was that the young gentleman
that
was the young gentleman you brought down to go alligator hunting, right? That was that hunt? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Addison.
One. Yeah.
Addison
yes,
Kellerman.
Right.
Yeah, he was down there. So I want to also mention there's a couple guys that were with Jared Burke Foundation from the beginning. Casey Wrenchen and Brennan Schrader. Casey passed away a couple years ago in a car accident. He's the one responsible for Specimen Creek Outfitters, and Brennan also was my hunt committee coordinator. And Brennan was actually in a wheelchair himself and paralyzed from the waist down. But if there was ever somebody that had a don't ever give up attitude, it was that guy. He was solid. We were going through and looking for some of the audio equipment for doing the live streaming and that. And his dad said, well, we're not home, but just go through his bedroom and go. So it was tough to kind of go through his bedroom, but then we got in there and everything's sitting there on the shelf, neatly packed away. It was like, well, there he is, Mr. Organized. He was always organized and right on the money with everything he did. So, but yeah, I wanted to mention those guys, and there's several people that I would fail trying to mention everyone. So I'll just leave it as everybody that knows who they are. The different outfitters we use, Illinois Dominant Bucks, Oak Creek, Whitetails, Don Hill over there, Cayuse Hills Outfitters. We had up there this past year, we had total strangers just donate the hunt. They were there the week before us, and we get up there and they Dave Smith Motors over in Idaho, Kellogg, Idaho, just paid for Lacey Voss's elk and mule deer hunt. And it's like, that's why I say it. I mean, you never know what you're going to get on these other adventures when you ask me that question earlier. It's all about that.
That's awesome, man. Well, I think honestly what you're doing is absolutely amazing. I think the hair on my neck is still standing up from the stories and the things. I couldn't even fathom what you go through every single day, John. I mean, it's absolutely incredible, and what you're doing and how you do it and the people that you bring out. I mean, hats off to you, honestly, and hats off to the foundation and everybody that makes this thing go around, honestly.
Yeah, it's an awesome thing. I mean, everybody on the Jared Burke Foundation committee, all the folks out at Whispering Pines, near and dear to my heart there, and all the stuff that we've got going on, all of our sponsors, and those are the real heroes that keep this machine going. And I'm just driving the bus, so to speak, and it's an honor to do so, because seeing the smiles and the joy on everybody's face and knowing that they experience something good is worth every minute.
Well, I hope that all the listeners go on over to at least the website or the YouTube and watch some of the hunting videos, and don't miss out on the auction. And again, John, thank you for jumping on with us. We really appreciate it, and hopefully we can do something again here soon. Everybody else, thanks for taking the ride right here on the Outdoor Drive.